Hey Manji Squad, welcome to the Manji podcast, making you a better man today, tomorrow, and every single day after that. Don't forget to leave a review and subscribe if you haven't already so that this podcast gets pushed out. Now, onto the podcast. What is going on, people? Welcome back to another podcast episode. Thank you for tuning back in. Guys, today we are talking about insecurities, why your insecurities or why certain aspects, I guess, of your insecurities might actually be a good thing and how to deal with them, as we're ending this year going into 2022. This podcast episode is actually inspired by a conversation I had in my men's group, which is hosted by Andre O. Ferguson, my mentor. Shout out to him. Go check him out. And basically we were just talking about insecurities, how to deal with them and where they start, and etc. And there's this one particular point stuck out for me quite a lot, which is your insecurities, right? An insecurity basically is just at the basic level, it's an uncertainty about something. Or when you're anxious about something. So it could literally be anything. You could be, for example, let's just say for women, an insecurity might be them walking home alone at night, through a dark alley. That's an insecurity because it makes them anxious. It's uncertain. They're uncertain about it. I don't know. For guys, an insecurity might be your height. You might be, I don't know, from a society standpoint, short. Let's just say for just to give more context, you might be, I don't know, 5'9" or below. So you might say, are you insecure about your height because you're uncertain? You're uncertain about it. You're anxious about it. When you step out of the house and you're around tall people or something like that. So in a nutshell, that's what an insecurity is, right? But what really got me about this conversation is that your insecurity might actually not have anything to do with you, right? It might not be something that you came up with. So I'll give you an example, right? An insecurity for me, growing up was a few things, right? I used to get teased for my big forehead. I got a big forehead, my big lips, or my height. I'm 5'6", 5'7", depending on what socks I wear. I always say it like that. That was for me something that, growing up I was quite insecure about until I learned to, kind of accept myself and everything. And we'll go into that more in detail, but that was an insecurity for me. But the thing is, before someone made fun of my big forehead or my big lips or my height, it was never on my radar. Does that make sense? Like, it was never a thing for me to be like anxious about or to be uncertain about. Does that make sense? So your insecurities, something that you are insecure about right now, right? Whether, I don't know, let's say you have a big nose, or let's say you have a big forehead, or let's say you have big lips or small lips, or you're too tall or too short, whatever that means, whatever that is. Yeah. That may not have anything to do with you, but more so to do with society, and because someone or some people in your lifetime, and I say it's usually in childhood, because you know how primary school and high school, it's ruthless. It's literally a game of popularity, and if you're not popular, you're basically a nobody, and you're basically like made fun of and stuff. But then again, I guess, to be honest, even when you are popular, like, you're still made fun of in some degree. But anyway, I just think most of this stuff really happens in childhood. But so yeah, as you're kind of navigating through life, you start to think of these things about yourself that are just a part of you, by the way. Like, they are literally just a part of who you are. But you start to look at them in a bad light, in a negative light. So you start to look at your big nose and you wish that you had a smaller nose. You start looking at your big forehead and start thinking, I wish my head wasn't like this. You start looking at certain aspects of your stuff, and you start almost regretting or resenting who you are because someone made fun of that, right? And obviously we know, bullying and teasing people, making fun of people, we all know it's bad. Like, unless obviously if it's you and your friends having banter, that's something different. But even then, I would even say, depending on who you are and depending how thick skinned you are as well, I guess that's kind of another conversation. But yeah, depending on all those like various factors, that can still have an impact on you because you start to look at yourself differently, right? And so, just for my journey in terms of accepting certain parts of myself, my height was a good one because I said to myself, right, like I literally had this conversation with myself. Like I said, Daniel, like you're 5'6", 5'7", like bro, you're probably not going to grow anymore. At this point, I think I was like 18, 19. Yeah, and I said to myself, look, you're probably not gonna grow anymore. You do know that, right? That's just might just be your genetics, and and I started thinking to myself, oh man, maybe if I didn't start working out too early, then I wouldn't have stunted my growth. I don't know. I started thinking of all the things I did wrong, right? And that's usually what happens when you start thinking about insecurities. Like, what is wrong with me? What have I done? Like, da 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 da. And then so yeah, I just started to kind of have that conversation with myself over and over again. Like, bro, it's probably not gonna happen. So just focus on other aspects of yourself. Like, just accept. Like, you gotta accept it. You know, what else? Let's just. And this was for me at this point. I'd say this was I was getting to a healthier place, but this was like, put it this way, it had to come in stages. So this was kind of an unhealthy way of thinking about it because I was thinking, okay, what parts of me are good that I can work on. So automatically I was thinking of my height as bad when really my height is good because it's a part of me. It you know what I mean? It's just a part of who I am, right? And so, and as I've come to accept that more and more, I don't, I care less and less about who's around me and about how I look to people and whatever. And yes, I'm not gonna ignore the fact that society, has its standards, quote unquote, whether it's being too short, too tall, too fat, too this, too that, whatever. But part of us changing that narrative, it starts with you. It literally starts with you. I had a girl on TikTok Live the other week, and we were just talking about insecurities, and she said one thing she doesn't like about herself is that she feels her shoulders are too like broad, like she feels her shoulders are too big and like masculine looking. And so she what does she do? She said she doesn't like wearing those like off the shoulder tops because it exposes her shoulders. And I said to her, "Oh, okay, I understand that. I get where you're coming from, right? Because again, society has this standard for women to be petite, nice and soft and whatever. And I think she felt like she isn't soft enough, or she isn't petite enough, or she isn't like gentle enough because she has quote unquote big shoulders or wider shoulders than the quote unquote average woman, right? And I'm putting all these quote unquotes in there because it's like, what is the average woman? What is the norm, so to speak? And so, yes, she said she doesn't like wearing off the shoulder stuff, right? And bearing in mind, this is an attractive woman as well, you know. From well, I guess again, attraction, being good looking is subjective. But yeah, so at this point now, so I said to her, something that will help you, if you want to get better if you want to look at yourself in the mirror and you want to like what you see, wear more off the shoulder tops. Like, yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable like for the first few weeks, month maybe, but soon you will get used to it, because the thing is, these are a part of who we are, guys. Your big shoulders, your big legs, your big, I don't know, your height, your whatever it might be, they are part of who you are. Now, if it's a thing where, actually, before I get onto that, so one thing I also told her, I also said, look at your shoulders, look at them and smile and say, I have the sexiest shoulders ever. My shoulders are so sexy. I love my shoulders. My shoulders are so beautiful. And the thing is, it will be weird. It will be weird because your mind has been so used to looking at these things about you as flaws. It's been so used to dumbing yourself down that now you're trying to change that narrative. It's weird. It's unfamiliar. But the more you do it, you'll get more familiar with it, guys. And so here's the thing, right? If it's a thing where, you want to lose weight in order to improve your health, naturally, in a way that's not going to be harmful to, your mental health, your physical health, by all means, do it. But if it's a thing where, obviously, like, listen, people obviously do this a lot nowadays, getting lip injections, getting injections here, injections there. it's completely up. I'm not gonna be the one to tell you, oh, don't do it or whatever. What I am saying though is that the way, is it gonna, I guess my question is it gonna change how you look at yourself? Is it gonna change how you view yourself? Are you going to be a happier person as a result of that? Is your self-esteem truly going to grow? Because what you had to do, you had to change something about yourself that wasn't quote unquote natural. You see what I'm saying? And the reason why you put that change in place was because of an insecurity that was placed upon you. You see what I'm saying? By someone saying something. So that's just a question I'd put out there to anyone, that does that or is considering doing it. Again, if you've already done it, I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm not saying you don't love yourself. I'm not a part of, your journey. However, what I notice about insecurities is that, this is one of the things that at one point that I was considering too, finding 1,000 ways to try and get taller. But then this is a conversation, like I said, I had with myself. I was like, Daniel, like, bro, you might not get taller. You're just going to have to accept it. And I feel far more confident in myself and who I am, in who I am naturally, as natural as can be, because I know that's how I was born. That's who I am. Do you know what I mean? I haven't had to do anything to my body to try and make myself feel better about myself. I just am who I am, And I know we all do things to try and enhance ourselves, which I guess that's a debate for something else. But really and truly, guys, all this conversation is just inspiring you to be happy with what you have, be happy with who you are, because that is, listen, none of us here were born with lip fillers. None of us were born with, like plastic surgery and all. None of, like, we came, do you know what I mean? So it's like, I think if we can be the truest version of ourselves unapologetically, I believe that's where our self-esteem will grow, and we will get much better at dealing with our insecurities. The thing is as well, this stuff is actually quite dangerous. Like, I don't know if you guys heard of the woman who recently died because she got a BBL surgery, which is a Brazilian butt lift. So people are literally out here trying to do the most. People will go to any lengths to literally feel accepted. That's all they're trying to feel. That's all everyone is really trying to feel. We're all trying to feel accepted by society, by our parents, by our friends, by whoever. But why don't we first accept ourselves just the way we are? You see what I'm saying? And the thing is, this is all based on like certain trends as well. I remember when having big lips was something to be made fun of, but then nowadays everyone wants big lips. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you cannot base your standards, you cannot base your beauty on society standards. That is a dangerous thing to do, because society is always changing. Trends are coming in and out. Something that wasn't hot back then is now all of a sudden popping. So now you're gonna like change up and just go with society, and all of a sudden society wants big booties, so now you want a big booty. Now society's saying, oh, big booties are not the thing, so now you don't want a big booty. Or, do you know what I mean? It's just a constant war on your self-esteem, guys. And so just make sure, if you want to have a healthy outlook on who you are and what you have, start changing that narrative today. Start looking at yourself, parts of yourself that was an insecurity or is an insecurity, and change that narrative. Tell yourself how handsome, how gorgeous, how sexy you are, how sexy your big ears are. Do you know what I mean? Who cares? Like, remember, it was only a bad thing when someone pointed it out and made it a bad thing, but it was never a bad thing. It's just a part of who you are. That's it. So thank you guys for listening to this podcast episode, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for listening to that podcast. Don't forget to message me on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok at Manji the Man. That's MANJI the Man. And let me know what you thought of today's podcast. See you guys soon.